go to Rome, do as the Romans do. So if you find yourself in a male-dominated field, sit back, observe what they do, and do just as they do. For you to be able to command respect, command authority, to be able to be in a male-dominated field, they have to feel your presence first. They have to see the value that you're adding to be able to be in that field. It does not have to look like a competition, but you also have to prove yourself for them to be able to see that this is what you're doing and this is what you can do. And when, as a leader, you're able to do that and you teach other people to do it, you create a movement.
Hello, beautiful people. You are welcome to another episode of the Bold Conversations with Joyce podcast. Here on this show, we spotlight authentic and powerful stories of people and projects that are sparking transformation all over Africa. Through honest dialogue and curiosity-driven conversations, we amplify the voices of change makers who are driving impact across Africa and around the world. On this show, we invite educators, innovators, activists, and everyday heroes to share their journeys so that their stories can ignite others to build a more equitable, a more sustainable, and a more empowered world. And I am thrilled to have you join us. So today's guest is not just one of those people, right? She is a radiant young entrepreneur from Africa, specifically Kenya, who is creating quite the buzz in the global market. So today's conversation, we are going to talk about honey. I'm sure most of you might have heard of honey. Yes, for me, when I was growing up, I heard a story of an old woman who was bitten by bees, who lost her life through bees. So growing up, I have always been scared of bees, right? But this young entrepreneur that we are going to have this conversation with make me see how bees could be transformed into something more innovative, productive, and make it more transformational. So today's conversation will not just be about honey. It's about hope. It's about heritage and hard work. It is about resilience and how one woman turned her dream of empowering rural women beekeeping into a thriving social enterprise that is transforming life across the world, from Kenya to the rest of the Africa and even globally. So today we are honored to have with us the visionary founder and CEO of Joreen Brand, whose journey has been so remarkable, it has caught so much attention from Kenya to the US. And I am so thrilled to have this conversation with her for us to learn more about her journey, how the Joreen Brand began, the impact that it is making, how it is helping to bridge the gender inequality in Africa and across the world. Joreen, you are welcome to the Bold Conversations with Joyce. And my name is Joyce Arthur. Okay. So Joreen, first thing first, right? What inspired you to start the Joreen Brand? And how did your journey, even in agribusiness, began? I know when you come to Africa, one of the fields that a lot of people don't like to go into is agriculture. Hardly would you see, especially we, the educated ones, we would always shy away from agriculture. But to see you transform this field into something more impactful and more inspiring, like how did your journey in Joreen Brands begin?
So first and foremost, thank you for having me here. I'm very excited to be sharing the story of Joreen Brands with the world. And how I started my honey business, or rather the honey brand, is my dad used to travel a lot for work. And every time he traveled, he used to bring home honey. And most of the times, we would not know if the honey is real or not. And in most cases, you'd find that the honey he brought would crystallize, and my mom would tend to throw it away and say that the honey is not real. And I, with a background of hospitality, honestly speaking, I never knew that I would go into agribusiness. but it just sparked an interest in me. And I said, I think I'm going to find out about honey, because not only did my dad talk about the honey being fake, I also had a few other people that mentioned the same. So after, when I was in university, that's when I started the business, and I was able to interact with suppliers of honey, and they sold me the honey, and I started selling it to people. And with that, I was able to, when I had the hands-on experience of selling honey and knowing about the different types of honey, that's when I was able to get more knowledge about it. And I ended up taking a short course at Kirdi, which is in Kenya, and learned more about beekeeping, the honey business, and the products that the bees produce, and value addition from the bee products as well. So that's how my journey started. It started from selling one jar of honey to going to school to learn about honey. And after that, I was able to have my own beehives. And from seeing how much the harvest was bringing, I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to go into the communities and look for honey. When I started looking for honey in the communities, in the rural areas, I could not find good honey. And I could not find good honey, and I could not find enough, because it was after the COVID period, and many people used to take a lot of honey. So that's when I saw the need of empowering women and youth in the community to be able to bring in more honey in Kenya and in Tanzania. And when I mention these two countries, it should tell you that the honey in Kenya is not enough to meet demand. So I had to cross the border and go look for honey in another country. I had to cross the border and look for honey in another country, which is Zambia, which is Burundi. So we get the honey from Kenya, Zambia, Burundi, Congo, all because we do not have enough honey to supply in the market. And that's how I ended up trying to bring in more women and youth who are in the villages and in the rural areas to be able to come on and take up beekeeping, and we can be able to connect to the global markets.
I see. That is a very inspiring journey, right? Being able to even cross from your country to another country to empower women to produce honey from the bees. Like, that is such an inspiring journey. Okay, Joreen, that was a very insightful response. But I am really curious to learn more about this, right? Like, what were some of the early challenges that you encountered in bringing these women together to produce this honey? What were some of the challenges that you encountered?
I would say that there's first building of trust. Building trust with the rural communities is not easy, because when you get to interact with them, you find that in most cases, we have many companies that come and promise them heaven, exploit them, and leave them with produce that they don't know where to take because they don't have the market for it. The second thing I would say is, what do we call it? The second thing I would say is roles in communities, because I'm dealing with women and youth. And most of the times, beekeeping has been known to be for men. So trying to convince women to be able to go into beekeeping, it looks like the roles have been reversed. And you have to be able to convince them that you can do it, and this is a sustainable business, and also training them. Most of our women and youth are not well educated. So training them is a bit challenging, because you find that they're not well conversant with the local language, which is Swahili or English. So we have to learn their language, the local community language, or we have to get people to come and help us translate so that we can be able to teach them. That's another challenge.
Wow. I think like it takes someone who is very resilient and who is very passionate with whatever that they would want to do to still keep going, looking at the challenges, the initial challenges that you encountered at the start of your journey, right? So now that you mentioned it during your response that honey production, right, is seen as a male dominated occupation sort of, right, or career. So for you personally, being a woman leading this production, leading other women to produce honey, what were some of the gender issues that you faced, like, the gender stereotypes and then all of these, and like how did you overcome some of these challenges? Hopefully this will inspire maybe a young woman out there who want to go into a field that is a male dominated but does not know how to navigate their way out or how to overcome some of these gender stereotypes. So for you, doing so well in such a male dominated area or field, how did you overcome these gender stereotypes?
Give a very funny answer to that. The first thing I normally say is, when you go to Rome, do as the Romans do. So if you find yourself in a male dominated field, sit back, observe what they do, and do just as they do. For you to be able to command respect, command authority, to be able to be in a male dominated field, they have to feel your presence first. They have to see the value that you're adding to be able to be in that field. It does not have to look like a competition, but you also have to prove yourself for them to be able to see that this is what you're doing and this is what you can do. And when, as a leader, you're able to do that and you teach other people to do it, you create a movement. Like me, right now, I have created a movement of more than 300 women and youth who can boldly say that they're into beekeeping and they're getting income through that, however the job can be. Also, with beekeeping, you find that most of the times the beehives are on top of trees, very high up. So what we do as Joreen Brand is we encourage the women and youth to be able to do ground beekeeping, which is having the hives on ground rather than on top of trees, which makes it more accessible for them when it comes to harvesting, when it comes to inspection of the hives. So we
Joreen, sorry. Let me chip in with this question, right? You said that you empower or encourage them to produce the bees from the ground. How are you able to do that?
Not from the ground, like it's you see the way beehives are normally on top of tree
top, yes.
in the traditional beekeeping.
Yes.
So right now, instead of having them on top of trees where it's not easily accessible to everybody, we have them place the beehives on a level. How can I explain it? Let me explain to you now how we do it.
Yeah, do that.
Placing a beehive, we take a bar which is 1 meter high, and then we place the beehive on top of it. So if you're like 5 foot, 5'4", 5'6", you can be able to harvest the honey when standing, as opposed to climbing a tree to go and harvest honey on top of the tree. That's how we do it. So it's an easier way to do beekeeping. And also, to be honest, there are some instances where we place the beehives on the ground. But for you to place the beehives on the ground, it has to be a beehive that has about 5 beehives on top of each other. So it's a case by case where the type of a beehive determines where you place it and how you place it. When my team is doing trainings, we'll be able to take a lot of videos and pictures, and we'll be able to post them on the platforms for people to see how we do trainings, how we place the beehives, the different ways you can harvest honey, the different ways you can actually even have beehives, because we have more than 6 types of beehives. Depending with the customer's preferences. And that's for people who do commercial beekeeping. And also depending on the country and the weather.
Great. Amazing, Abby. I think for me personally, I would love to see how you do all these things, because these things is looking a little bit abstract for me, right? Like how you are able to harvest these bees, how you are able to like even, get the bees to come together. Like how do you do that? I would really love to see those videos, and then we look forward to seeing them.
Okay.
Yeah. So Joreen, why did you could have chosen any business model, right? To do, I know you've already shared your passion behind the Joreen brand and all that. So why did you choose beekeeping as a model for women empowerment?
I would say because beekeeping is not capital intensive. You can literally make a beehive just from old tree trunks. You don't have to cut trees. You can make it from old tree trunks. You can make it from timber, which is easily accessible from anybody and anywhere. Another reason I chose beekeeping is that it's not labor intensive. If I gave you a beehive today, you would only be able to go and check on it after 4 months to see if there is any honey in there. And then every 3 months, you go back and harvest. So a beehive that does not necessarily need you to be there to cater for it to produce honey. You place it there, the bees come, work their magic. Every 3 months, you come and get honey. So it gives women more time to tend to their families as they run a business on the side. And another thing I would say, bees are pollinators. 90% of the food that you take has been pollinated by bees. So this is a movement that wants to make people aware that however small the bee can be, plays part and parcel of what you eat. It plays part and parcel of pollinating food. It takes part and parcel of producing the food that we have in the world. So as a human race, we need to protect the bees and we need to save the bees. And how we can do that is by pushing a lot of materials, education for people to stop using harmful pesticides on plants because that kills our bees.
Great. Amazing. Thank you for highlighting that. I think you've also beautifully spelled out how this beekeeping can help or offer unique opportunities to women and youth. Women and youth, when it comes to funding, especially for our businesses and all that, it's a very big challenge, right? Starting a business can be very expensive. So having a model like this that is cost effective and at the end of the day, you are able to create revenue. For me, it offers a unique opportunity for women and youth who are usually limited by funds, getting access to funds to start their businesses and in entrepreneurship. Yeah. So now Joreen is growing into a global brand, right? I have seen a couple of your amazing work all over the world. So how did you ensure that this brand stayed rooted in its Afrocentric and people-centered mission? Because one thing that I've realized that, especially when brands begin to become global, sometimes if you are not careful, you will lose your root or like the main reason that you started whatever that you are doing at the initial state. Because sometimes you need to modify to make sure that it meets the global standard and all of that. So how are you making sure that this brand is still staying rooted to its Afrocentric, it's like it's Afrocentric way. I'm sure you get what I'm saying. And then also making sure that it's still people-centered mission. Yeah.
I would say the most important part of the company is the women and youth that we train. Without them, we would not have Joreen Brands. Joreen Brands is a company that's rooted on purpose and storytelling. We keep the brand colors. We want them to be Afrocentric. We want our labels to read that the honey has been produced by empowered women in Africa in youth. We want people to hold a jar of Joreen honey and feel the purpose that they're helping someone back home in Africa be able to get something for their hard. When we talk about being rooted in purpose, we also deal with the UN SDGs. And the first one that we align with is no poverty.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that we align with is decent work and economic growth. And that is by giving our women and youth a decent job, decent opportunity for them to be able to grow. I'll give you an example where we started off with 150 beehives with some women in Marsabit, and now they have grown it to 320 beehives. And that was back in 2022. So that tells you that in 3 years, they've been able to double by giving back the profits to the business to be able to get more beehives. The other one is good health and well-being. For good health and well-being, we all know that honey is a very
Very
good,
healthy. Yeah.
high in antioxidants. If you have a
Mm-hmm.
wound and you apply honey, it will heal. That's how
I
good
see.
honey is. If you have a sore throat and you
Mm-hmm.
take honey even by itself or honey with ginger and lemon, it heals the sore throat. So these are some of the things that make us rooted to our Afrocentrism, because it shows first how we use the product at home.
Mm-hmm.
And we have brought this to be able, with this, the way we use the products has also been able to be used in the outside and in the Western world.
Great.
And then the brand colors, they all represent Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And I said our models, everything revolves around the women and the youth we train. So it's a company that has a lot of purpose, and it's a company that's being is there or exists to be able to push and tell the stories of the motherland.
All right, Joreen. Yeah, that is really, really an amazing job, right? Joreen, thank you so much for those amazing responses, right? And I would like to know that I believe you have a very great vision for Joreen Brands. From all that you shared, you are definitely a very ambitious young woman and you have so much ahead of you for yourself and also for the brand. So how do you see the Joreen Brands and even the African, the agribusiness ecosystem, right? How do you see it in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, where do you see the Joreen brand and also the African agribusiness ecosystem?
So for Joreen Brands, in 5 years, we want to be global. We want to be able to have our honey in major retail stores globally. And also, I would say the journey has started because we have already been able to sign contracts with a major chain of supermarkets in the US, and will be able to supply to 200 stores beginning of 2026. And from there, if we do well, we'll be able to get into the 1,000 stores. So that's the beginning of the journey to tell the African story about honey and beekeeping. And I would say about the African agri entrepreneurship. Right now, everybody is talking about Africa, and I'm sure you have seen that as well. There's so many meetings about Africa. Africa is the next big thing. But what they're forgetting is the West still needs us. So right now, as African entrepreneurs, what we should do is we should now be able to start thinking of how to produce more, produce double of what we have, so that we can be able to sustain ourselves as Africa and take the surplus outside of Africa. So
Yeah, so Joreen, before you even respond, let me just chip in with this question and maybe you can respond it together. You talked about Africa being the next big thing. People are talking about us and all of that, right? So, Joreen, what do you think are some of the support systems or the policies that we can scale or we can implement to scale the beekeeping model and even the agribusiness in Africa? What are some of the policies that can help us do that?
First of all, I will say empowerment of the farmers in Africa to be able to produce more. And this is by giving them resources. And by resources, I mean giving them fertilizers, giving them seeds. I would say a concept that Tanzania really uses really well is the concept of access to forests. Like when you look at my farmers, the ones that we have empowered in Tanzania, most of them through the local government, they are given the forest to be able to go and put their beehives in there. These are people who do not have land, but through partnership with the local governments, they're able to be given resources to be able to do something that will generate income. So if we can have governments do that, it would be helpful in order to be able to create more produce, more food for the local communities and also for export. Also, I would say training. When you look at countries like Israel, I'm sure you know that they're very good when it comes to farming and agriculture.
Yes, sure.
So if we can have most people trained on climate smart agriculture, on efficient ways of planting in bulk, of how to do agriculture, agribusiness, how to calculate their profits, how to reinvest back into the farms. That would also help a lot because people will be able to trying to get the right words.
Guess like when you train people and then people have the skills, like maybe they would be more interested, to also go into such areas, right? Because usually people tend not to go into certain area. Maybe they don't have the skills and the knowledge, right? So once you empower them and then you give them these skills, you give them this knowledge, then they would know what they can use it for.
Yes. And also education where instead of having people plant any crops, we are in a season where we are all talking about climate change. So let's all learn how to plant the drought resistant crops. And with that, we can even be able to go and plant in the semi-arid areas that nobody wants to go to.
Great. Joreen, your response is leading me to my next question, which is how do your initiatives, right, the Joreen brand, like how do you balance profitability and then the environment protection? Because as you rightly said, climate change is a big deal now. And with what you do, you definitely till from the land, right? So how are you balancing profit with protecting the environment?
So I would say that from all our sales, 3% of the sales goes into protecting the environment. We plant trees. And then apart from planting trees, when we are teaching our farmers on how to do beekeeping and training them and whatnot, we are able to also train them on how to plant drought-resistant crops, and that's for use within their families. And also, I would say right now we have been able to help construct 2 sand dams that they're able to harvest water during the rainy season. And even when there is drought, they're able to keep having water to be able to use for home and to use in irrigation for their crops. The most important thing that we do right now is giving back by planting trees, because we all know that without trees, it's gone.
Exactly.
Right?
There's even a saying that when the last tree dies, the last man dies. So yeah, like trees are very important. So therefore protecting the environment whilst making your profit, ensuring there is a balance between making profit and tilling the land is very, very important, because it is out of the land that we get everything. So if we are always money conscious and don't pay attention to the land, then at a point in time, the land would not be able to produce whatever that we want it to produce. So yeah, protecting it is very important. So my next question, Joreen, I want you to tell us that there might be a young woman out there there are a lot of people, I'm sure, in Kenya who look up to you, even young people from other part of the world who see the amazing work that you are doing with the Joreen brand. So for someone who wants to build a purpose-driven social enterprise, because what you are doing, you are not just doing a business, you are addressing social issues, gender inequality, unemployment, you are protecting the environment, all of that. So it is a social enterprise, right? So
Yes.
what advice would you give to a young person out there who is seeking to also build a purpose-driven social enterprise?
Firstly, I would say start where you are with what you have. Find the root of your purpose, and from there, you'll be able to scale it and keep going. For you to be able to do something, you have to be passionate about it, and you also have to have some impact. Start where you are with what you have. Identify your passion and grow with it from there. Identify the people that you want to help. Identify the people that you want to work with. And most importantly, identify good mentors. A good mentor will take you a long way to be able to shape your vision and shape what you believe in. Because most of the times you start something and you do not know the direction, but you do know, you feel deep down you have a purpose. And what I normally tell all the young people is, however lame you think your idea can be, just go for it.
Yeah,
That's
just go for
reward.
it.
Keep
Mm-hmm.
dreaming and keep pushing towards what you believe in. Keep pushing towards your dreams, your passion, and sure enough, the world will hear your story.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I like the last statement you made, that's believe in yourself. Whatever that you have in your heart, believe in it. Take one step at a time, and gradually, whatever that you are passionate about will come to pass. That small thing that you started would grow into a big, something very big, and the world would celebrate you for it. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And I think wrapping up the conversation, I would want to ask that anybody who is currently listening to you right now, and maybe they are outside the agriculture sector, that they are within or outside the agriculture sector, how can they support the Joreen Brands movement?
I would say how you can support us and join us is by spreading the word. We want people to know that bees are the best pollinators. Every food you eat is because it was pollinated by a bee. The plant was pollinated by a bee. So those are small animals that are really, really important in our lives. And if we can have more people do beekeeping, be it commercial beekeeping or backyard beekeeping, it goes a long way. Because if we had 10 people do it today and another 10 people do it tomorrow, already those are 20 beehives. In a year, that's more than 1,000 beehives. And I would also like to say that we are in an era where people no longer take care of themselves. And the most important thing is to take care of ourselves,
Take care
especially
of
our
yourself.
good health and our well-being, for us to be able to have a brighter future. And why do I say this? Because if I am a young person right now and I'm not taking care of myself, 30 years to come, I'll not be able to support myself.
True.
Comes from eating well, exercising, doing what we're supposed to do best for us to be able to live good lives. Also, I would say is another thing that will help us as Joreen Brands is we are accepting any donations, be it training materials, be it beehives, so that we can be able to keep building more communities within Africa. We are accepting partnerships. Anybody who thinks that they want to be part and parcel of what we are doing in other countries, more than welcome to teach them our business model so that we'll be able to have more people come together and train people from the grassroots levels going up. We empower them to come up as we give them an opportunity to get sustainable income. We give them an opportunity to get money to cater for their family. We give them an opportunity to be independent. And we give them an opportunity to show that we can break barriers through any projects that we'll be able to do for them and with them.
Great. Great. Thank you so much, Joreen Brand. I think as we wrap up, can you share your social media handles, anything that, if anybody wants to reach out to you, what are the means that they can reach out?
You can reach out to us through our website, which is joreenbrands.com. Also, our social media handles are Joreen Brands. For the honey, it's Joreen Honey. And I will also say that I would like you to look out for our new value addition products, which are the first ever honey-based energy drink, which will be Africa, and it will be called Be Charged, and the first ever honey-based lemonade. And let's keep growing the hive. And I'm looking forward to interacting with everybody and welcome new ideas on how we can be able to alleviate each other from poverty and to be able to empower the next generation of young entrepreneurs and young leaders in the world.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Joreen, for coming to this show, for sharing your journey, your story, the Joreen Brand, how it is impacting and empowering women in Kenya and beyond. And I, for one, I cannot wait to taste the drinks, the lemonade and all that. Hopefully when you launch it, we may invite you to come in and tell us more about it again. And I believe that myself, for instance, I've learned so much from today's episode. And I believe my listeners as well have also learned a lot from all that you've shared. And the young people, the young women out there who feels that, okay, I cannot do this and that because this area is a male-dominated field. I cannot do it because I'm a woman. They have been empowered to see that your gender cannot be a limitation to you pursuing your dreams, and that if you want to thrive in a male-dominated field, then do what the man does, right? Don't go there and feel like you want to be in a competition with anybody. No, go there with your capacity, with your skill, and deliver as you are supposed to do, and not think that, okay, because I am a woman, I need to be giving consideration on certain things. Because the moment that you begin to behave that way, then you are reiterating the stereotype that women are not capable of doing certain things or performing well in certain areas that have been tagged as male-dominated field. So thank you so much, and we wish you the best. Continue doing the amazing work that you do, and I believe that your 5 to 10 years plan that you shared with us, it's definitely going to come to pass because you are already in the process, and I'm sure that you are going to stay consistent and very resilient. And in the next some decades to come, we are going to hear Joreen Brand all over the world. And thank you, and keep doing the amazing work that you are doing.
Thank you, Joyce. It was amazing talking to you. And I will definitely let you know once we launch the new products. And I'll get
Beautiful.
and I'll get some for you as well.
Please do. I am in the DMV area, Maryland. So just ship mine to me, and I would love to tell my amazing listeners about it. Yeah, when you ship it to me. So thank you all for listening. Keep being amazing. Keep pursuing your dreams. And until next time, this is the Bold Conversations with Joyce, and I am your lovely host, Joyce Arthur. Bye.